Are you popping champagne that Donald Trump has decided to come around on mail-in ballots, or is this still not it's still weird?
I mean, when you're a Democrat in Florida, you're so used to the advantage they've got with absentee ballots. I mean, I go back to early days running state legislative races, and you just knew you'd start the night down 3,000 or 4,000 votes at the beginning. They were just that good at it. Even in 2008, when we had 600 employees out there banging on doors and all the money in the world, we basically gave up competing with them on vote by mail. They were just that good at it. We had to make up the difference on election day and through early voting. And so to see how he's literally just torched this institutional advantage that Republicans have had for 20 years in a matter of like weeks is just stunning. I mean, just to give you a quick example, in the last 2 weeks, when he's really been on this war against vote by mail, Republicans have lost, Democrats have had 140,000 more people signed to vote by mail than Republicans just in the last 2 weeks. And so it's not headed in a good direction for him right now.
But the pretzel that he is twisting himself into by drawing distinctions between absentee balloting and vote by mail, which don't exist, by suggesting that vote by mail in Florida is somehow safe when in Colorado or Oregon or all these other states that have been doing it for a long time, it's not. The fact is there's virtually no provable voter fraud in mail-in voting. It's just a logistics issue.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's done excuse-free vote by mail for 20 years now, and we have a very well thought out process. You get your ballot, you mail it, you sign it, return it. The canvassing board reviews it almost immediately to make sure the signatures match. If you don't have a signature that matches, they call you and tell you to come fix it. There's a lot of things Florida gets wrong. Actually, Florida does elections pretty well in the last, over the last 20 years. I mean, we've made a lot of really good fixes, and so. Is any system completely foolproof? No, but I mean, is there fraud? Absolutely not. I mean, it's a good enough system for President Trump to use. It's good enough for Kayleigh McEnany, who votes by mail in Florida. So I'm not really sure what the issue is, but I got to say, man, it's been fun to kind of pull up a lawn chair and just watch him, again, torch 30 years of work on it.
Let's listen to a little bit of Jonathan Swan talking to the president about this earlier.
The Republican Party has an extremely well-funded vote-by-mail program. Your campaign puts out emails telling people to vote by mail.
Correct.
Your daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, she did robocalls in California saying it's safe and secure, mail-in voting.
Let me tell you,
the Republicans
we have
won.
No choice.
That was an all-mail-in race.
You could have a case where this election won't be decided on the evening of November 3rd.
Absolutely.
This election could be decided 2 months later.
It won't be 2 months. But what's wrong with the proper mailing count?
It could be decided many months later.
Have you discussed?
You know why? Because lots of things will happen during that period of time, especially when you have tight margins. Lots of things can happen.
Steve, let's put that in the back of your head for a second, and I want to pull up the latest polling in Florida. You alluded to some of this, the increase in the signups by Democrats. But let's look at three polls. The Mason-Dixon poll has Biden up by 4. The CNN poll has Biden up by 5. Quinnipiac has him up by 13. The margins of error on all of these are are smaller than the increases. The Mason-Dixon poll has a 4% margin of error, and that's what Biden's up by. But the bottom line is Biden is beating Trump everywhere, and Donald Trump has got to take Florida to even have a chance of winning this next election.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would tell your viewers to disregard the Quinnipiac poll. I mean, they're good pollsters. They're just not very good at polling Florida. They tend to be all over the place here. So that 4 or 5 point margin looks about right based on what it sort of feels like right now. And the last Republican to go to the White House without winning Florida was Calvin Coolidge back when we had 6 electoral votes and probably no air conditioning. So different kind of state. So and the nice thing about, frankly, the way Florida's vote by mail and early voting system, we're probably going to have 70% or so of the state counted before 8 o'clock Eastern. And so the president's concerns about having this thing drag out for weeks are just not founded. I suspect, if Florida's more than a point or two, we're going to know it by 8:30, 9 o'clock Eastern time.
So what is the best argument nationally for Democrats, given that Donald Trump's argument is remarkably inconsistent on this? He basically wants mail-in voting in places that he thinks it benefits him, and anywhere else he just doesn't. At some juncture, the president is endangering the election by all of his constant talk about the fraud and the danger of mail-in voting.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about that. I mean, we certainly, again, going back 12 years to 2008, we had to deal with the challenges of Democrats in Florida being concerned about going through 2000 again, and can they trust the system? And I think it's really incumbent on people who are rational, and that's rational Republicans and Democrats, to stress confidence in the system. I mean, the worst thing you can do is for Democrats to throw up conspiracy theories, or Republicans. I mean, we need voters to feel comfortable that when they cast their vote, it's going to count. And, and again, most of these battleground states like Florida, we've been through this before. The system is very safe and very secure. People, need to make sure they sign the document right and put a stamp on it. But for the most part, it absolutely can have confidence in the system that your vote's going to count.